210 people have lost their lives in farm accidents over the past decade. It's a staggering loss of life that leaves its mark on rural communities and farm families, and it can cause years of anguish and grief for loved ones. Civil servant Angela Hogan lost her partner Brendan Kelly in a farm accident in 2011.
Brendan was always up for a laugh. He was always good at telling stories. He was a cool customer, I suppose. He never panicked about anything.
Did he love farming?
Yeah, absolutely passionate about it. It was his life. Like when we'd go out, even at the weekend, there'd be guys coming up talking to him about farming, and I'd be kind of like, hello, I'm here, you know. And he was passionate about machinery. That was his thing that he loved. I suppose the eventual plan was to get married. We had plans done to build a house on the farm because we were living in the town of Nina in a house that had a nice big yard at the back for tractors to turn in, you know. It was all suited towards the machinery. So, yeah, but it never came to pass, so.
On the day of the accident, Brendan was busy baling silage. His brother Joe was talking to him between jobs.
Brendan rang me and we're having the chat, and he was just saying like that he was going to do this job because it was supposed to rain the next day, but it never rained the next day, and it was on that job that he met his death. Yeah.
He was baling for a farmer. They had just gone into the field and it was the first bale, and he had to climb into the machine to release a switch or something like that, and the baler came down on top of him.
How I heard it was I came home here and I was down the farm, and a local guard who used to work with Brendan just told me that Brendan had been in an accident, it was fatal, and that they wanted me to go and identify his body. It's an awful shock to the system then to go and see your brother laid out on the ground, especially when you know that he was a very safety conscious guy, that always fixed machinery, had a fantastic workshop, had just everything was right. But, you know, it's just something that happened and you got caught, and it just proves that you can be very safety conscious, but you can still be caught.
The word came through at about 7:30 that night. Joe drove into the yard with my brother-in-law Connor, and he had already heard. He came to the door and he just said there had been an accident. So he didn't say it straight out, like, and I was kind of saying, come in, like, what do you mean? So he told me Brendan had been killed, you know.
With 2 children to look after and no farming experience, it was difficult to keep the farm going. The family rallied round, but Angela had to embark on a legal journey to get control of Brendan's business and save the farm.
Because there was no will and we weren't married, everything passed directly to the children. I was told then that I'd have to get, because we weren't married, there wasn't a will, we'd have to get 2 solicitors. So we had to get a solicitor for the kids and a solicitor for me. I think the Cohabitants Act only came into being in 2010, 2011. So I was protected by that, like, but otherwise the farm probably would have to been sold, you know.
The legal process was long and drawn out and was complicated by the fact that the couple were not married and they had not made a will.
The consequences of not having a will in place can be disastrous, especially in a farm setting. Farming is a very different business, that, you know, it can't just stop for a week or for 2 weeks. Like, it has to continue, so that things have to be in place to enable that to occur, not to add to the distress of the people that are left behind. A person that is not married, from a tax point of view, they're regarded as a stranger in blood. So anything in excess of €16,250, they pay capital acquisitions tax at 33%, which can be massive when you think of the value of the assets included in a farm. So if by court order assets are given to we'll say the cohabitant, well then generally it doesn't give rise to tax considerations. But it's just a shame that people have to go down that route in order to get that tax exemption. We'll say there's a surviving cohabitant and they have kids. She has to sue her kids in order to get her share out of the estate. And this could be someone, you know, that is like very committed to the partner, and they might have, you know, died in whatever circumstances it is, but they have no choice but to do something like that.
It was very expensive between 2 sets of solicitors. There was a lot of legal costs involved, and you kind of worry about that as well. But thankfully it turned out okay in the end anyway.
And what was decided? What way did things end up?
It's treated the same way as if we were married, and then there was no will in place. So it was like 2/3 to the spouse and 1/3 to the children. So.
But it took 6 years to get there.
It did, yeah, yeah.
For Angela, keeping the farm was important for her son Ronan, who had inherited his father's passion for farming.
Ronan is in college now in Pallaskenry doing agricultural mechanisation. I suppose it's taken after his dad that way, in that he's mad about the machinery as well. So fingers crossed that he will farm safely going forward, you know.
How important is it to you that you can farm the land your father farmed?
That's probably the most important thing to me, to be honest, like, because, I don't know, I just always had it in my mind that one day I was going to be up there with my own outfit. And when he used to tell me how he used to start out and what hardships he went through, like, you know, I think maybe he would always wanted me to at least get it a little bit easier to what he had anyway, and actually have somewhere to start.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
It has been a long struggle to get closure, but for Brendan's family, the lessons are clear.
Making a will doesn't mean you're going to die tomorrow, but it does make things an awful lot easier for the people that come behind you if tragedy strikes.
I just think, especially if one of the partners is not from a farming background, I think it's important that there's some kind of a plan in place, like what to do with the farm, you know, in the event of something happening tragically, you know. If someone passes away suddenly, that there's a plan there, that the partner can pick up the pieces much easier and be true to the person that this was their wishes, you know.